We're back on the joint session. As is unfortunately typically the case, we needed some more time, so thank you for that. We're continuing our discussions here. I sent you, hopefully you got a counter on the department chairs and program directors.
Yes, we did. We got them, Brian. Thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward, but let me put it up just so we can walk through it here. Okay, is it on the screen in front of you?
Yes, I can see it, Brian.
What we're proposing is essentially to take the bonus stipends from last year and incorporate them into the base going forward. So department chairs would get 6,000 as their supplement. If you were department chair program directors, I'll scroll down here, 7,000 for the workforce, which is matches what your proposal, and then workforce program directors, that is. And then for nursing and health programs, they would go to 5,000 as the supplement, we can maintain their release time. Other than that, we added some language. That the thought was we'd put this in there. I think there was some discussion about the new paragraph. 8 is, the thought is that 2-year commitment is what we're looking for. Subject, of course, them successfully completing the first year and wanting to continue into the second year, but that would be going forward essentially. Not that you couldn't continue for more than 2 years, but you could be reappointed, in other words. The change in paragraph 6 or 7, excuse me, is just to make it a little bit more clear that I think we just adopted the language from your proposal, which was from the prior proposal, that we can put out a call or offer it to the incumbent. Basically just making it clear that we don't have to offer it to the incumbent either. We can put out a call if there's somebody that we want to make a change. So no, I think that was already the intent of everybody. But so the main difference obviously is the supplement amounts. We are agreeable to locking those in beyond this current year, but not quite up to the point that the union proposed. Were there any questions on our proposal?
So just to clarify, what you're doing is taking that extra $1,000 stipend last year that was given as a one-time thing and just putting that into a permanent increase in the chairs.
Correct.
Is anybody on my team or Caitlin, you have anything to want to say?
I'm just wondering why in a $37 million budget, the administration is unwilling to spend an additional $10,000. This one, $2,000 or $1,000 means a lot to those people that are putting a lot of work into the college. And it is a pretty inconsequential amount to the overall college budget. Also, we have, can I share my screen?
Yeah, let me stop mine.
Okay.
Okay.
I did an analysis of our capital outlay costs, or capital outlay budget rather. Hold on, here it is. So this is the line item 52000. So it is 000 in our budgets that are reported to the state, and for the past, 8 fiscal years. And at our peak, we spent $10.9 million on that, which I believe is the salary and benefits for our full-time faculty. Right now, it's almost $1 million less than that. And I know that Brian has explained to me that those lines, if they're not filled, because we used to have 157 faculty, now we have 135 or so. Those unfilled lines go into capital outlay, and capital outlay is used for one-time purchases of equipment. If the administration argues they don't have $15,000 for our stipends for our program directors and our department chairs, we could certainly take that money out of capital outlay because we always have at least $250,000 in that. And although that is used for one-time equipment purchases, I think it's worth thinking about investing that in our human capital. As I talked about in my opening statement, human capital is really the most important part of a college. If we don't have human capital, we don't have anything. I know that Dr. Beard has talked about that our personnel cost is a smaller percent of our budget than average. And I don't think that's something to be proud of. So I would like someone from the administration to explain the justification for not spending $15,000 on our program chairs and directors.
The statement that our personnel cost is not as high as average is not correct.
The percent of the budget, I believe in one of the town halls, Dr. Beard said we have a lower than average percent of the budget that goes to personnel. I was not at that town hall.
Prior to receiving the money we set aside for increases this year, that money was put in contingency, so it doesn't really count toward personnel costs. But prior to that, about 75% of your payroll, 72 to 75% of your budget is payroll, which is average for other schools. And that does not include the fact that we contract out custodial, landscaping, security, which could all, if we're in-house, would make that number probably about 82, 85% of the budget. So
I don't think we should be proud that we're contracting that out, but that's another story.
well, there's pros and cons to that too, so. And I'm not sure where you got that capital number. I'd have to look at that, what report you got that from, because capital, I don't know if that's just including equipment or that's including partial building repairs or not. But again,
And I can show you, I'd have to look at the
yeah, if you
I can show it to you
send-
later, yeah.
Yeah, just send me 1 year of whatever you were looking from and then point it out
Sure.
and I'll look at that. And then I can better comment on there. But again, a lot of the things we buy as capital are one time, which means are the savings from the vacant positions we have during the year that we provide that to buy equipment one time. So if we don't have a lot of vacant money, then we buy less equipment.
Yeah, I understand that, but if there's consistently at least $250,000 in our capital outlay budget, I would argue that 15,000 could easily come out of that as recurring for our human capital.
Well, my only response to all of that is obviously, I don't think none of us disagree with general point that you're making, Caitlin, that the people are a big part of the investment, if not the most important part. But the reality is we also have to make ends meet, have budgets, whatnot. And we get the point. I think that's 15,000 here or there, but it's in the context of lots of decisions being made, including the bigger decision on compensation generally. And I'll segue to that. We don't have a proposal yet in response to your compensation proposal for this year. We need to crunch some additional numbers. And I know Brian Horn's kind of drop off, but we are going to put together a proposal to respond to that. And I know you were submitting a records request. Look at that angle as well. Trying to figure out, I think that the good news from my perspective on it is we have the same types of goals. We will get to the point that the union wants us to be. I think nobody is happy with the current state of compensation and whatnot. So we need to figure out ways to do that. As you heard during the first part of the session, there's also some urgency, of course, for next year, whatnot, because we're looking at filling these positions, and the hope is to try and get those kinds of decisions made on the front end rather than trying to do it on the back end, so we can attract people, fill vacancies, and everybody knows what they're being paid, unlike current situation where you find out halfway through the year. So we probably will present something for this year, and then separately for a second year. That one may take, or for next year, that may take a little bit longer. But we don't have anything on compensation for you now. We got to crunch the numbers. It's the short end of it. I don't know if you had any
Should
other
we
questions.
should we set up another, like, if this needs to be finalized by April 19th, can we set up how soon can we set up another bargaining session?
Yeah, it's just a matter of making schedules work, but that's one of what we were just talking about, to crunch the numbers. We think we can do that fairly quickly, not necessarily today, tomorrow, but not months either. So I don't know what the best way of doing that, if you guys have dates in the next few weeks, or if you want to shoot me an email this morning. We have, of course, a lot of folks on our side, but I don't know that we all have to be on every session. If we have, I know Brian Horn's schedule and Darrell and whatnot are going to be important when it comes to the numbers.
Would next Monday at 9 work again, or possibly Friday?
Next Monday, I'm in a mediation,
Okay.
start 10 a.m.
Dr.
I'm off
Jeanette,
next
could you
Monday.
explain, Dr. Jeanette, could you explain why you're unwilling to spend $15,000 on chairs and directors?
Caitlin, it's not unwilling. I think to Mr. Koji's point, it's contextual. So while I appreciate your analysis on capital outlay, just because funds are available doesn't necessarily justify the expenditure of funds in a particular domain. So we have to look at the entire picture, and we're looking at the context of those positions and the output produced by those positions, and in accordance with the position of the college and our determination to provide those increases, we have, and we're opting to keep that increase rather than as a stipend. So that's where we are at the moment. But again, it's open to reevaluation on an annual basis.
Well, we have
So it's still a
evaluated.
step in
This
the
has been
right direction.
evaluated. This has been evaluated numerous times over many years, and $5,000 or $6,000 is not commensurate with what other colleges are paying for department chairs and program directors. And I don't understand why this has been a fight for $15,000 over a $37 million budget.
And you're absolutely correct. We have evaluated it, and recall the position of the college a few years ago, a strong position, a strong possibility of removing the department chair structure, particularly in arts and sciences, precisely because of the problems that were rife for years at PHSC.
And if you'd like to
given
talk to the deans, I
collaboration
think
that we
those
had-
problems,
well, if I may,
well,
if I may finish,
I'm sorry.
what I was going to say is, what I was going to say is, and based on a true cooperative effort and the part of the chairs we have hired, we have seen a significant increase, and that's all positive. So we're moving in the right direction. But again, just because the numbers are there doesn't mean that can or should be applied to one domain without looking at the entire context and other needs of the institution for our employees as well, beyond just the faculty. So that's where we are at the moment.
So if you're saying, and I would agree that our chairs and directors, the situation has improved, why can we not spend a small amount of money to reward the people who are working very hard in these positions?
I might throw something in here as well, that we really need to look at the amount of work that's been added to the chairs from the past. From what I'm hearing from some of the chairs and program directors, they've had a lot of added duties. And these added duties are actually helping the dean in each domain to do their job better. And so I think that the college really does need to address, the $6,000 is nice, but it's still not what we'd like to see for the chairs and the program directors. It's the amount of work that they've been getting. And we just acknowledged that it's gotten better, that it's improved, and it's helping our deans do their jobs better. And so I really would like to see the college move a little bit more than just saying, okay, well, we'll give you that stipend from last year that was a one-time thing is added in. But that I really think that investment in human capital is very important. And this is how you keep quality people to help these deans, is by recognizing their hard work and giving them something in return. We're not going to probably be able to ever compensate them for what their real worth is. Just like you can't compensate the faculty, I think, for our real worth. But I think we really need to do a better job doing that.
Sure. And Gary, I certainly appreciate what you said and fully concur with you. Human capital is critically important. I will tell you, I'm not sure about I'm confident, but the veracity of the statement that additional work has been added. Maybe the more appropriate statement is that work in the job description that was always there is now being done, where again, the college had problems with seeing that output before, in addition to other mechanisms that were difficult that we had to address because of those difficulties. You'll recall those bargaining sessions. So we have made progress. And I will tell you, I think I recommend that you go back and talk to some of the faculty, because the administration is also getting some feedback from faculty that the department chairs are not as involved in key areas, to the point that we had some recommendations that senior faculty should be placed on the master course scheduling committee, which then begs the question, what is the role of the program director or the department chair? So there is some disconnect amongst our faculty voice regarding the role of the department chairs. And I appreciate the union's perspective, but I think that we need to look at all the context in its entirety very fairly. And you're absolutely correct. We have made progress, and the college is accepting the fact that the progress has been made. And we'll continue to reevaluate it on an annual.
Well, we were behind before, and now with the pandemic, and there's a lot more work added to these positions because we've had to convert things to different formats. We were behind before. If we're doing a better job now, I don't understand why we can't compensate commensurate with other colleges. We've already done the study and we're getting paid less for chairs and directors.
Yeah. One last thing I will note, recall that we added an assistant dean position in arts and sciences that wasn't there before. And that assistant dean position inherited some duties from the former department chair position. So again, it's not more, but it's better. It's better. It's moving in the right direction.
Before we move on with this, is Julie on with us? Julie Hendrickson, she's still with us.
Yeah, I'm here.
Julie, can you tell from your perspective, you've been a chair, what the workload's like?
Well, that is a big question. Like any type of administrative position, we're doing this in addition to our full-time teaching load, which is always my priority to do that the best that I can. And I'm in my third year as chair, and it's been a very unusual couple of years to lead in because of the pandemic. So some things that we didn't know existed in terms of navigation and creative brainstorming on how to do our classes. This is true for all departments, but since teaching and delivering our service, in the best way we can now in a very different landscape, that in itself has added a lot of work. both these last summers because of in the sciences, and I know, for the other departments, as well as for nursing and the other programs, we've had to be so creative and really try to come up with the best thing that we can offer, keeping a good conscience that we're actually offering what the students need. So that is hard to measure, but it's been just exceptional. So that piece, in addition to wanting to join, the Division of Arts and Sciences and establishing pathways and being excited with Dean Thompson about what can we do to make sure students are on board. So these are some of the things that are new that we wouldn't have been able to know would be part of our requirements. So things shift as they do with many, many areas of work and things that you can't predict. So I would say it's been heavy, and it's not, 1 week very heavy, and trying to manage getting your team together as faculty to be that liaison. I would hate to ever lose the faculty member who has, boots on the ground with our students, then that liaison to translate to administration. This is what it's looking like now. And it's been very, very exceptional for 3 years in a way that it didn't look like 5 years ago. So I don't know if that helps, but it's hard to put a finger on exactly the workload. But for the sciences in particular, it has been quite a challenge.
Thank you, Julie. I appreciate this. Sorry to put you on the spot there, but I wanted some insight from someone who's actually
No,
doing
that's-
that chair position.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
And I will concur, if I may, with Professor Hendrickson's analysis. There has been a change, to her point, from where things were 5 years ago to where things are now. So again, we're moving in the right direction, and we appreciate your work.
Anything else?
Cut out there, Gary, if you're, anything else on that issue?
So we could come back with a counter for you. But I can't sign off on 6,000 at this point in time.
I was also looking at the calendars. Caitlin, you mentioned something about Friday, April 1st, Friday, April 1st is Brian Horn's available, I'm available. About others, but that's a potential date maybe.
Morning, afternoon?
My preference would still be the morning, if possible. Brian Horn's off the call, but Pam said he's available only till 4 in the afternoon, so make work whatever, but I don't know about Darrell's schedule or Dr. Giannette. Imagine we would need at a minimum them on, if not some of the other administrators.
As of right now, I'm open for Friday the 1st. I think I can do Friday, anytime Friday morning.
Academic affairs, the entire leadership team has a meeting from 9 to 11 for our leadership council meeting. So afternoon would be preferable.
Well, if we started at 1 in the afternoon, we could go to at least 4, it looks like.
I'm sorry, Brian, I got disconnected there. What day are we talking about?
We're looking at potential for April the 1st, it's a Friday.
Okay.
And our intent, just so you know, is to hopefully be able to do along the lines of what the union was able to do, put together a counter and get it to you by email in advance. That obviously requires some number crunching and work on our end, but to the extent we get that, I can't make any promises to how far in advance as these things go, but if we can get it to you a little bit in advance, then that might also make the session go a little bit smoother.
Okay.
But looks like we might be able to do April 1st if that works for the union.
I can do that. Gary, can you do that?
Yes, I'm fine on April 1st.
Caitlin?
That too.
Okay. That sounds good. So it was Friday, April 1st at 1 PM.
That's good for us. I think everybody, let's do it. Let's plan on that. Hopefully we can get as many on our side that can attend as possible, but again, we'll try and crunch the numbers and come up with compensation proposal in advance of that. I got the program directors and department chairs. We'll continue to consider everything on our side, ask the union to do the same. And if anything changes, of course, on that going into the next meeting, we can talk further about it as well.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
I think that's all I have for today, unless there was anything from the union side.
That's all we have today.
All right, let's plan on reconvening April 1st.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Take care.